Our next inductee is Mehdi Mohammadian. I've known him, it seems like forever. A few years back, this wasn't a year or 2 years ago, 3 years ago maybe, when Gary Goltz became the president for USJA, Mehdi was sending in his promotion papers, and Gary sees this 6 days a week of judo classes. That's not possible. Nobody does 6 days a week of judo classes. Well, I saw Gary at some point after that, and I said, oh, he did. When I was training under Bob Lace, my instructor, 2 days a week, I'd go up to Young Sam Kim Green Bay a day a week, and I'd go to Mehdi's the other 3 days a week. He was there 6 days a week for many, many years, teaching and giving to judo. I heard a great story from Ali, I think, about he'd go with his dad someplace, and so many people in the Oshkosh community where he lived knew him because they had taken his judo classes. I see people now at work, oh, I know who Mehdi is. And the guys are close to my age because they had taken judo from Mehdi. Many times in his judo club for many years. This is Rick Olstead with me under the pin. He used to work for a company, and all day long, for 8 hours a day, he's lifting 2 4x8 by 3/4 inch sheets of plywood and throwing them from the machine up onto whatever the pallet or storage. Well, when you train like that and you're off time, when you're not training in judo, that's going to make a pretty tough competitor to go up against. Always a hard worker, cared about his family and his judo. It's unbelievable the amount of hours and resources, dollar resources, time resources that he has given to judo over the years. And I just want to let you know, he's been my sensei after I went. I've been some other places, but I've known him and worked under him and learned so many things from him about judo, the fine points, to make it work more efficiently. Maximum efficiency, minimum effort. A wonderful man, wonderful family. Got to play his sons, train with them when they were going to the university sometimes. And it's just like, it's wonderful. He's been great to the whole judo community. And I'd like to thank you and present you with this Hall of Fame award.
Thank you very much for the introduction, but I just want to tell you that I'm honored to be among the, inductee of the Hall of Fame and great judo player. And everybody said everything about the judo, and I don't think they left anything out. And John is right, and it's not only me. And I know every one of you judo player, you dedicated your life pretty much for judo. You love judo, and always, since I was young, I never forget that one thing that Dr. Jigoro Kano said, that judo, it is not only a sport, it's the way of the life. I always kept that in my mind, and since I was young, when I started 4 years old, I did not want to go to judo, which I dragged and picked and throw in the jeep to take me to the judo class among the military people in Iran. I am from Iran, from Tehran. And so little by little, I started to love the sport of judo and jiu-jitsu. And I did all of martial arts, but judo was my love. And I'm really honored for you guys that you induct me to the judo. I did, as John says, spend many hours. We go to the judo class 3:30, 4 o'clock We got classes till 9:30 for people they want to play and go to the nationals. We stayed till the Y tried to close 10 o'clock. And there was times that, as John says, we had 6 days class. We had Friday, I was teaching to about 6-7 years ago, 5 days a week between Oshkosh and Nina Menasha. And it was time that John Jacobson gave me his club in the Appleton, that it was 6 days. So it was many years that we spent time, then the time that I could not go, and I had my assistant to do the Saturday because I had to go with the team to the tournaments. And my goal, the whole thing was to support the sport of the judo and make a growth on the sport of judo. And I remember that people, they talk about the Neil Rosenberg. And when I came to United States and I came to Oshkosh, Wisconsin, I found judo in a YMCA under Jim Marquardt. And attorney Jim Marquardt, he was my instructor. I couldn't even talk too good English, you know. And so I followed him until he stepped down. But there was a day that I was in a tournament in Milwaukee. And Neil Rosenberg was sitting over there, and Jim Marquardt and I. And Neil Rosenberg says, I don't think there is any judo beyond the Milwaukee. I turn around and I look at him, and I look at Jim Marquardt and I said, who's that guy? You want to get in a match with me? Neil looked at me, and he said, no. I said, okay. Well, I'll see what I can do to help the judo through the Wisconsin. And that's my goal. And I want to thank you for my family, that many nights that I did not spend the time that I had to probably quality, just like Jim Cogan's son said, with the family. And I want to introduce my wife, Diane. Next to her is my son, Mehran. His wife, Katie. Mehdi Jr., Ali, and my granddaughters, Moraya, Tahere, and Cyrus, and Gus. And I have one member of family that she's in Minnesota, and she got 2 kids, so I got 6 grandchildren, and they were very sick. So I really appreciate it, and I'm honored to great talk. Thank you.
Most of the people that have been in judo for a while in the state know the travails that Wisconsin Judo's gone through even before we set up Wisconsin Judo. This was one of the most divided states in centuries. But years ago, Mehdi and Rick Johnson, Filippo, and several other people, you know, these were the major USA Judo people in the state. I mean, they were the people that had all the students. They really came around to help our association, you know, which was always a struggling association. And at one point, everyone always thought, well, not everybody, but everyone in our association thought, oh, we're the top of the group, but we're not, you know. And to have these people become so supportive of our association, just unbelievable. And we were kind of kidding earlier that probably 3/4 of the people in Wisconsin that do judo belong to West Bend and Mehdi Club. And, you know, they've got all the numbers, you know, and just by having them support us. You know, it used to be when we weren't supposed to go to their tournaments, they weren't supposed to come to ours, And it was really terrible at that time. And it's totally different now. I mean, it's, you know, we still have our differences at times and stuff, but, you know, it's more of a family thing. And this idea of this Hall of Fame started years and years ago, actually through some USA Judo stuff, because some people, Mehdi and Rick Olstad. Rick Olstad?
Yeah.
Never heard of him. But these guys were at something about 1930 or something, and heard about other people offering Hall of Fame stuff. And so they kind of came back to the state, made some suggestions, and at one of the meetings for WJI that Wood Taylor had, the suggestion was brought up by USA Judo people, or USJA people, I'm saying, at the alphabet, you know, to start a Hall of Fame, you know. And these guys supposedly, even at that point, weren't really involved with our association, but that got the whole ball rolling, and I think they really started bringing, you know, things back together, because we started acknowledging everybody, you know. You can't hate someone that's been doing judo for 35 or 40 years, that spends their whole life, you know, devoted to the sport. You know, we all have different personalities, but, you know, it's really important to support each other, and it's amazing the way it's turned out, you know. They bring enormous amounts of people to our tournaments. We support their tournaments. It's wonderful now. It's maybe only been 10 or 15 years, but still it's changed Wisconsin Judo 100%. And we really thank Mehdi, and well, we thanked John a while back. And we gotta thank Rick too. He originally brought the idea up, but they had talked to him before that, and he kind of brought it up. So thank you very much. We really enjoy finally being able to share the whole judo realm with everybody. Thank you.
I just want to say something, and Jim is right. There was lots of politics in judo, and I remember me, John Sanfilippo, and Rick Olstad, we talked, and I said, I wish it's going to be a time in my lifetime that they take the politics out of judo on the sports and put the sports of judo. And the time that, anytime that they said that, well, this is going to be not your organization, we didn't care less. We took 30, 35, 40 people. We went to the tournament. And we showed them the respect for the judo and the politics. All my life, I never did care less for the politics. And I said, all it is judo. And for the better sports in judo, trying to do the best we can.
Right, because I'm so chatty, as most of you know. Many of you know me, I'm Chandra. I've been a student of Sensei since about '99. When I was somewhat coerced into stepping back on the mat after 12 years away with these words, Judo, it's just like riding a bike. You never forget how to do it. And that calling back to Judo was eventually to Sensei's dojo was probably one of the best things that happened to me. And I cannot begin to express the respect that I have for Sensei Mehdi and what I see him accomplish every single day in the dojo. Still at the age of 72, aside from what he does in his personal life, which I'm still not sure how he does it, and it keeps him busy, usually from sunrise to the day he gets to the dojo. He starts Monday through Thursday, 4:30 in the afternoon, and teaches till 9 o'clock at night. Kindergartners to sometimes people in their 60s. And he's been doing it for 50 years. And there never seems to be a moment when Sensei is not hands-on and isn't actively engaged in every student on the mat all the time. And no matter how many there are, the impact of his personal attention to each student is evident. It's reflected in their practice and their performance in Shiai. And students are always mindful that while he might be on the other side of the mat, he's always watching. Always watching, always studying and developing judo for you. And as I've learned, while he's studying you, he doesn't often make a habit of handing out compliments or saying something just to make you feel good, or whether you're progressing or not. Sometimes you just don't know. And while it can be frustrating not to know that, there's always ways that you know where you stand. And it's the very little things he says that makes the biggest impact on how you choose to continue your training or not. As a Sankyu, I participated in the Masters Division at Midwest Championship about 2003. I took a third. I wasn't happy. Sensei was waiting for me when I came off the mat after my last loss, and I yanked off my belt, threw it at his feet, and I said, I'm not good enough to be wearing this. And I'd go back to my Yankyu belt until I figured out what I was doing and I could be a better judo player. I stormed off, I had my little temper tantrum, and he picked up my belt real calmly, walked over and said, put this back on, you're fine. We just have a few things to fix, it's no big deal. And I realized he didn't care if I'd won or lost. It was about what I had been able to do or not do, and what I'd been able to effectively use or not. That's all that mattered, and we could fix it. 2 years later, after winning a silver and bronze as a NICU in my first World Masters, I came back to class, I presented my medals to Sensei, and we talked about it, and after a few minutes he patted me on the back and said, "Good job." Walked off to continue teaching class. I was kind of dumbfounded. And I jumped into my first international competition, and it didn't seem that important. And it took me a while, and I usually would just want to beat my head into a wall. And I finally understood. He was simply acknowledging the outcome. He didn't need to make a big production of it. He knew I could do it. The medals were just for me, to let me know I could do it. He didn't want to stop me from chasing my successes. He wanted me to come to understand that I indeed earned that shodan I tested for 2 years ago, and no, he didn't lose my test. He just waited a while. And he finally presented it to me after I won the Worlds. And in those situations, it was the honesty and the quiet message of the understated that would make me re-examine my thought process and push my drive to learn, to try and try again. Not give up when I was defeated, not to rest on my past successes, but to continue to learn and build on those, to trust in my judo and know that I could accomplish my goals. And it's this approach to Sensei's teaching that sets the tone for our class every day, and eventually for the students' learning journey. It's never about how many tournaments you're in, how many times you win, how many times you lose, the color of the medal, the color of the belt, how fast you advance, the number of days or hours you train. It's about the technical, mental, and philosophical lessons, no matter how small they are, that are involved in every moment you spend learning and training with Sensei and your dojo partners. It's never a matter of you trying to learn Sensei's judo, because I don't really think that's possible. But it's a matter of you learning to understand what your judo will be and how you apply it on and off the mat. Sensei always says, as you heard this evening, judo is the way of life. And it's this philosophy that keeps us grounded and allows us to find the ways to reflect on Jigoro Kano's goal, the harmonious development and eventual perfection of the human character in all facets of our life. And it's this habit of Sensei's, of bringing Dr. Kano's philosophies into our everyday life, that truly inspires me on the mat. He always tells us, our personal things are first, homework first, judo after. and it applies to all students, no matter their age. When I was going to college recently and my course load was too heavy to let me go to class, Sensei said, education comes first. Judo will always be here for you when you're done. And indeed, Judo was there for me with a smile and a little wave when I walked off the graduation stage. And I saw in this one of the greatest examples that Sensei shares with us from Dr. Kano on learning in and out of the dojo. Nothing under the sun is greater than education. By educating one person and setting him into society of his generation, we make a contribution extending to 100 generations to come. And certainly, Sensei Mehdi Mohammadian has been educating and sending hundreds and hundreds out into the world to impact their generations and those to follow. So Sensei, you're a wonderful teacher, mentor, and friend. And I sincerely congratulate you on this recognition for your 50 years of dedication to Judo. It is truly an honor to study, train, and teach with you, and I look forward to the years to come. Thank you.
I've been friends with Mehdi I've been doing judo for 44 years, and I think we became friends within the first 6 months. We consider ourselves the three amigos, San Filippo, Mehdi, and myself. We've never been a political group. Yeah, we got the numbers, USJ, but I grew up on a farm, and I always thought of the associations I would with farming is if you lived near a dealer that sold John Deere, everybody in that area had John Deere tractors. If you lived in an area that was international, Alice Chalmers, that's what you had. I grew up JA. That's what we had in Janesville, Wisconsin, which was the farthest judo club west of Milwaukee, the mecca of judo, down on Washington Avenue. And but we never played politics. It was always about judo. We could never figure out when things got political, which now they're wonderful. They're absolutely wonderful. But it's about the judo family. It is my life. I mean, God, I love judo so much. And these guys have made it fun, but I look to Mehdi's family, and I think how we watched our family grow up on the mat. Ali, all you guys, watching you grow up, and along with my kids, you know, a little bit of yellow belts and orange belts running around, you think, oh, well, you know, these guys are a pain in the ass to take to tournaments, and they're always getting into, you know, what, you're on deck, where's Bjorn, and he's out eating a hot dog, and I said, you're on deck, they just go with your name. So it was fun to watch his family grow up and John's family grow up and my own. And if you allow it to, judo will take over your life, which is a good thing. Judo's phenomenal. God, I wish.
You're playing to the right crowd.
I know. But there is something special about the history of it. I mean, it goes beyond playing. I mean, all the great masters, Mifune and Yamashita and Kano. I mean, God, none of us would be doing judo if it wasn't for Kano's group beating the hell out of the Tokyo Police Department. Remember that? They had 5 matches and Kano won 4 of them and the other one was a draw. What if they all lost? Would we all doing jiu-jitsu now instead of judo? I don't know.
Taekwondo.
Yeah, not me. But it is. It's a special way of life. It really is, if you let it in. Hard. I mean, we all deal with injuries that will plague us for life. People go, you know, you feel beat up in surgeries. I've had 12 surgeries because of judo, and somebody that doesn't do judo go, God, what would you do different? I go, well, in that window of opportunity for playing, I would have fought more. You think that window is going to stay open for a long, long time, and then she starts to close, and you're gone out of that window, and another one opens, but it's never the same. But the 3 people inducted tonight absolutely are so deserving. I mean, I've seen Jim referee forever. And I've always been intimidated by him, and I think it's...
You should be.
And that's why. I never got to hang around with Jim when I did, but he always intimidated me because I never saw him smile. And he scared me. He scared me. Mehdi, of course, again, my brother from a different mother. So congratulations to everybody tonight. Mehdi, I love you. I love you. Johnny?
I'm usually a man of many words, but I have very few because my brother Rick just used them all up. But
Sorry about that.
it's a special opportunity to see Mehdi be inducted in the Hall of Fame, and we really, on behalf of Rick, Mehdi, and I, really want to thank Wisconsin Judo Inc. for bringing us all back together. So thank you all very much.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
I want to say something real quick. Hi, I'm Mike Tibelma. You guys might not recognize me because I took a 20-year hiatus. So I grew up in Brentwood Taylor's Club, and I started jiu-jitsu when I was 5. And then when I started getting into my teens, I got a little rambunctious, and Brett said, well, there's something else, another class that Margaret and him put me in, and that was called judo. And when I was a teenager, Mehdi was right there with us at every tournament and every club. And in fact, when I was a young man, I'd go practice at the Y a couple times, and then Ollie would come up when we were teenagers, and we'd beat each other up. And I did a lot of judo. And I think I burned myself out in my teenage years, honestly. But life got in the way, and I got married and had 5 kids. And 20 years later, there's this judo thing always, sitting in the back of your head. And when Brett got sick and I was doing my own thing, judo was always there every day. And Mark was one of my senseis, and John and so many people. But when I decided to come back to judo, because of where I live, I was like, what are my options, And when you grow up with certain people, and I grew up with Brett, I mean, I loved Brett like most everybody else loved Brett. And I'm like, Mehdi still teaches in Oshkosh. And I work in Oshkosh, and I have a couple kids that came with me, and I showed up one day, and I'm like, hey, Mehdi, remember me? And he welcomed me with open arms, and he is so good with the kids. And it's so neat to see. And he's already taught me in the short time that I've been back to judo so much more. And I'm looking forward to competing because that window of opportunity you're talking about, I feel it, but I don't have any orthopedic stuff scheduled yet. I know it's coming. So maybe that's why I took 20 years off, so that I could kind of draw that out a little bit. But thank you so much for welcoming me, and I'm looking forward to helping teach and whatever else judo brings. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
I just want to say something real fast before the board of the Hall of Fame's gonna say something too before we leave. But Oz made me promise him that, and Rick would know this, that I wouldn't bring up the Chicago Open on the 7th floor with the Suhai's hospitality room when we were in the bathroom. But Oz, he brought it up. But thank you very much. I really appreciate this, to have all you people here. Thank you.
I have a story to tell. We have referees here and we have competitors, and I could not go home without telling you. So there's God and there's the devil. And they're both talking about judo, and the devil turns to God and says, you know what? You got enough dead people there that can fight our people in judo. God says, you don't stand a chance. I got Kano, Mifuni, Kotani. Devil says, I got all the referees.
Joke. All right, so on that note, okay. Well, hey, just a couple things we want to close with. So, first off, we want to again, it's an honor and privilege for us to recognize great folks, and especially the folks tonight, Erwin, Jim, and Mehdi. So again, another round of applause. Thank you for everything.